Cool. So when we look at the development of yoga, Hatha was actually the term that was used to classify any yoga where there were physical postures involved, considering that you had different styles like Karma yoga and Raja yoga, which focus more on your meditation and your other yogic practices. And so Hatha is actually an umbrella term under which all our yoga practices that make use of physical postures or physical asana fall under that. However, I think as yoga has started to develop, and so other styles have started to grow, like the development of vinyasa, which is the type of style that you would have been practicing with Laura, and generally the style that we see the most in the gyms and the studios and online. That has started to kind of take its own form and become a faster moving yoga practice where you have your sequencing. It's got that almost choreography kind of element to it, and that's where we bring in the peak posing and working the body towards certain postures. Hatha has, although it's an umbrella term, it has started to almost be seen as more of a slower style. It doesn't make use of peak pose sequencing in the sense that we don't necessarily work towards something, but we will move from one side to the other. So it's about working kind of in a different manner, but the postures are still the same. So I come from an occupational therapy background, and most of the students I was teaching pre-lockdown were actually pensioners, so over the age of 60. So this was a kind of practice that I would teach with them quite a bit. So if you are considering going into a teaching setting where you're working with a lot of injuries, or you are working with older practitioners or even beginners, this style is quite nice and accessible because you can slow it down, you can work with different grading of postures, and it just provides a little bit more of a simpler approach to it. And it's also quite a nice practice if you want to have, it's not so much a restorative approach, because you'll see it's nothing like yin yoga, which we'll do in the coming weeks, but it's nice to experience how different poses can be linked together in different ways. All right. So as with any yoga class, obviously, if I guide you guys into a pose and it's just not working for you, if anything is niggly in the body, if there's pain, just start to move out of it. You can just do less. Alternatively, if you have the props, you can use those. All right. So we're going to start off just seated on our mats. You guys have such nice yoga spaces. It's cool to see you guys have space. So like I said, what I've done is I've actually propped myself up on blocks and then also a foam cushion underneath. And what that does is it elevates my hips. It makes it a little bit easier, especially if we're sitting for a long time. And it's really a nice variation to give to beginners or older practitioners who might have any niggles in the hips or the knees. So wherever you find yourself, take any cross of the legs. We will swap it out later. And then just start to rest the backs of the hands on the knees. And we'll start with almost a lengthened spine with a slight leaning backwards. So I want you to imagine that you're up against a wall and you want to shift the shoulders slightly backwards so that they stack directly above the hips. And then notice you get to a point where you feel as though you have to have this very slight engagement in the core just to maintain that upright position. And then find a slight pulling back with the shoulders just to open up through the front of the chest. It's not a massive squeezing back. It's just a gentle opening so we activate through the upper back. And then when you find this position, close your eyes for a moment. And we'll take our first few breaths to just tap into the body. So we've all come here on a Friday evening. We've had things we needed to do this morning and probably a long weekend of yoga ahead of us. So take a moment to arrive fully on your mat, letting go of anything that has passed or anything that is yet to come, and really focusing on drawing your awareness to the breath. So as we know, our breath is a powerful tool to get into the body. So just starting with observation of where your breath is today. So if we notice it might feel a little bit rushed or shallow, or maybe you are breathing into a certain part of the body like the chest or the shoulders or the neck. Soften your eyebrows and your eyelids. And if you haven't already, seal your lips and continue breathing in and out through the nose. As you find your rhythm of your breath, we'll slowly start to elongate the breath without focusing on any specific breathing style or technique. As you get to the top of your inhale, notice if there's a little bit more space to elongate that breath. You might feel the fullness of the breath at the top. And then as you exhale, notice if you can do so a little bit slower. So give the same amount of attention to your exhale as you do your inhale. If you can, maybe matching the lengths of the in-breath and the out-breath. The inhale maintains the nice lengthened spine, elongating through the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And the exhale brings a softening of the shoulders down, relaxing of the fingertips. And you may even start to notice in your own practice how long it takes you to fully arrive in your yoga space. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. Bring it back to your body and your breath on your mat today. We'll take 5 more breaths here. Keeping your eyes closed, slowly dropping your right ear down to your right shoulder. Feeling a stretch along the left side of the neck. And then maybe even pulling that left shoulder down slightly and feeling the stretch intensify. Take a nice full in breath. And then as you exhale, drop your chin down to your right shoulder. So it's almost as if you're just bringing your gaze slightly downwards. And the stretch will almost move towards more of the back side of the left side of the neck. So your chin is almost resting along the right collarbone. You'll draw a half circle down with the chin coming down to the chest. And then lifting up so the chin is up towards the left collarbone. So chin is slightly down. Maybe pull that right shoulder down a little bit. And then in order to bring the left ear to the left shoulder, you might have to lift the chin slightly, and it's more like a lateral stretch. Dropping left ear to left shoulder, feeling along the right side. And we'll move over to the other side. So you'll do the same thing. Drop the chin down to the left collarbone. Draw a line along the collarbone all the way over towards the right shoulder. Chin stays down. Drop right ear to right shoulder as you lift up the chin slightly. And then lift your head back up into center. Keep your eyes closed as you inhale. Inhale will maintain this position. As you exhale, drop your chin down to your chest. Just get into neck flexion here. So it's not a big movement. You just want to feel as though you are noticing if there's any tension that may be residing in the neck. And then inhale, lift your chin up so that your head is in neutral. Let your hands rest along the sides of the body, so they'll just move off the knees, so fingertips are grazing along the side of the hips. Take an inhale, let the palms reach all the way up, creating a big circle as the palms meet up overhead. Push the palms together and then hands come down through to heart center. And then push the palms together so you start to feel a bit of an awakening into the upper arms. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, push the hands together all the way up overhead. Now see if you can get the hands directly over the head. So we're still bringing our thumbs slightly back behind us. So you're pulling the arms or the biceps almost behind the ears. Separate the palms, turn the palms facing down, and as if you're pushing the air down beside you, bring the hands all the way back down to the floor. Turn the palms facing up. Inhale, arms extend up. Push the palms together. Hands come down through to heart center. Push palms together. Inhale, arms extend up. Split the hands, turn palms away from you. Push hands all the way down to the floor just until the fingertips rest behind you, or beside you rather. Good. You can blink open the eyes if they aren't already. Just lean slightly backwards so you can take a bit of pressure off the hips, and then swap the legs the other cross around. So just change just maybe your non-habitual grip or cross of the legs. Hands rest along the side of the body. So find that nice position again when you have a slight leaning back of the shoulders. So I want you to feel that you're getting a nice long spine. Inhale, extend the arms up. We'll take a very gentle side stretch over to the side. So your right hand will come down onto the floor. Inhale, extend your left arm nice and tall. So feel that you're lengthening to the left side of the body. And then exhale, go over towards the right. Relax the right shoulder down away from the ear. And then let your head be heavy. Now imagine someone's almost pulling you by that left hand slightly, and then draw that right hip bone down. Sorry, it's your left hip bone. I've gotten so used to mirroring, and online we don't mirror necessarily. So feel as though there's a long lengthening along the whole left side. Inhale, push into the bottom arm, reach both arms back up, and we'll go over to the other side. Your left hand drops down. Find lengthening through that right hand, and then slowly drop over. Let this left shoulder drop down and away from the ear, even if it means bending the bottom elbow slightly. Imagine someone's pulling you up by that right hand, and then draw that right hip bone down as you side stretch over to the side. Inhale, both arms will extend you up. Twisting over towards the right side, bring your right hand behind your back and then your left hand onto your right knee. All right. So we're not going to use any force of the hands to pull us into the twist. I want you to place the hands there just to guide or just to support the body. Use the hand behind you to push into the mat and find a little bit of a length into the spine. And then stay quite soft into your left hand. Just start to use the core, little bit of rotation in the chest to gaze over your right shoulder. So feel as though even if you let go with your hands, they're not pulling you into the pose. It's all working through the core and the twisting of the upper body specifically. So you'll keep looking over your right shoulder, but then drop your left ear to your left shoulder. So you'll almost be dropping your crown of the head towards me, maintaining a twist in the spine. 3 full breaths here. Maintaining your slow and steady breathing pace through each and every posture. We move out of the poses just as we come in, so release your head back up first. Bring your head through to center, and then release your hands all the way up. Take a nice inhale. Exhale over towards the left side. Left hand behind the back, right hand gently resting on the knee. Push the left hand into the mat, find a nice tall spine, and then gently look over your left shoulder. So you can even take your gaze or your chin over your left shoulder, and then drop your right ear to your right shoulder, almost as if you're bringing the crown of the head towards me. So you should feel the stretch kind of along the left side of the neck, very similar to what we felt in the beginning. Head comes up through center. Bring your chin back to the front of your space. Release your hands last time. Inhale brings them all the way up. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down onto your knees. Find a nice length into your spine once again. Have the palms facing down so the fingertips are almost gripping over the knees. We'll do a seated cat-cow. So inhale, pull your chest forward, squeeze the elbows in the side of the body, and find a slight little arching into your back. If you feel comfortable, you can lift the chin slightly, but not dropping the head all the way back. This is your inhale as you squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then as you exhale, take it nice and slow as you round all the way back. You might kind of roll over the sitting bones and really lean into your hands as you find your way into a seated cat. So if you're sitting on something, be careful that you don't fall off or roll off. On your inhale, find the pull of the arms all the way back behind you, lift the chin slightly, and then feel a slight pulling in the space between the shoulder blades. Exhale, round back, cat. Inhale, slowly come up into a seated cow variation. And exhale into your cat. We'll do one more after this. Inhale into your cow. And exhale into cat. Good. Inhale brings you up into a neutral spine. You can always use the hands for support, extending the legs out in front of you. So whether you've chosen to sit on a block or keep your hips elevated, you can maintain that position as well, and you can always take it away when you no longer need it. So your legs will stretch out in front of you. I'm on blocks and a foam, so I'm actually going to remove the blocks out so you can still maintain a lift. Good. Keep your left leg straight out in front of you and have your right knee into your chest. Flexing through your left foot, curl the left toes back towards you so you almost feel as though you're still strong and active into your leg. We're going to use the hands to guide this right knee over and move into a half cow facing pose. So if you're not familiar with the pose, the knees will stack. You'll draw your right knee on top of your left, and then your right heel will almost curl back towards the body. All right. So if you need to see what it looks like, you're stacking the knees upon there. All right. I'm on the outer edge or the outer blade of my right foot. And if you feel as though it's still quite tight, you just move the angle of that knee slightly. So you just move that right heel a bit further away from you. We all look quite good there. All right. Use your hands next to you to sit up nice and tall. Good. Your left arm will extend all the way up, and then place the back, so the palm of the hand onto your upper back. Good. Right hand comes onto your left elbow. So as you take an inhale, I want you to sit up nice and tall now. So as we're maintaining this position, don't forget about the foot. Curl the left toes back. Stay active through the feet. So when we do a tricep stretch, sometimes we feel as though we want to almost pull that elbow down. I want you to imagine that that left elbow is lifting up towards the ceiling. And then you're slowly guiding it gently towards the midline of the body. So it's not a strong stretch. It's just gentle lengthening along the back of the triceps. And then if you feel like it's pushing your head forward, I want you to almost relax your head back into the box shape that you're making with the arms. Good. Take 2 more breaths. Last inhale. Exhale. As you inhale, release your hands. Bring them all the way down onto the side of the body. Your right leg will release straight and we'll move over to the other side. Left knee comes into your chest. So we're usually doing one pose at a time, left, right, and so on and so forth. Good. Sit up nice and tall, lengthen the spine, and then guide that left knee across into a half Gomukhasana or half cow facing pose. You might feel a little bit of a different sensation on the other side. So if you find you need to prop yourself up on one and not the other, that's also perfectly fine. So fingertips will just be next to the body. Sit up nice and tall. Curl the right toes back towards you. Right arm lifts up. Bring the right palm onto the space between, it's not so much the shoulder blades, you might just get below the neck. Left hand comes onto the elbow. So this is already a tricky one to set up nice and tall. Instead of leaning forward, I want you to imagine that you've still got shoulders above the hips. Drawing that right elbow up towards the ceiling, and then gently guiding it with that left hand towards the midline. Nice. Relax the head back slightly, lift the chin. Two more breaths. And slowly release the hands all the way down. Release the left leg to straight out in front of you. And then depending how you are sitting on your mat, you're going to bring your legs out wide. So it doesn't matter if you face a different way, but bring your legs out more into a straddle position. So we're not going for straddle, we're going to set up for Janushirasana, but I think it's going to work a little bit better to have you sideways. So my left leg is out towards the side, toes are pointing up. Bring your right hand underneath your right knee. So you'll pull your knee up and then guide the inside of that right sole of the foot into your left inner thigh. So this variation, we're going to be folding forward over the leg. So instead of over the left leg in a hamstring stretch, right? Fingertips come out in front of you. Curl your left toes back. So I really want you to see that that left foot is almost standing up against the wall and it's almost going to push your calf further down into the floor. Take an inhale. Keep length into your spine, keep opening into your chest. And then as you exhale, slowly start to walk your hands forward. And I don't want you to go all the way fully just yet. I want you to see how far you can lean and walk your hands forward. Arms can stay straight with the left toes pulling back. And then your head just goes into a comfortable position. So generally, head following the same angle as the spine or the same lengthening of the back works quite well. And because we're working into these poses and we're going to spend some time here, I want you to maybe find a little walking pace forward when you feel your body moves further into that. So one of the ideas I like to work with is whether my mind wants me to go further into the pose or whether my body wants me to go into the pose. So we'll be here for another 5 or 6 breaths. So you can just feel into that, move slightly deeper when your body feels ready for it. Nice full inhale. And full exhale. Wherever your hands are on your inhale, just straighten up through your spine, pull the shoulder blades back. So feel as though you're just creating length along the front of the chest, and you'll walk your way back up. So moving quite strategically in and out of our poses. Lean slightly backwards, maybe without the use of the hand, extend your right leg back out into your straddle. And if you need the support of the hand, you can do it. If you can even lean back and place that foot there without using the hand, that's perfectly fine. Setting up for Janushirasana on the other side. Good. Curl the right toes back towards you. Feel active into that foot. It's almost as if I feel as though I'm pushing my calf down into the floor. Fingertips out in front. And I want you to move as slow on the second side as you did on the first side. So seeing this side independently of how far you went on the other side. Start to walk your hands forward. And it's when you feel that first point of the stretch, I want you to pause there. You'll take an inhale, find a slight little lift into the chest, and then on your exhale, you might move slightly deeper. And what I like about holding these poses for a while is we really get to explore what sensations might come up. So you might feel the stretch in different places. You might notice one side feels slightly different to the other. And that's where we really also get to understand how our body feels in different shapes. We'll take 3 more breaths. Keep curling those toes back. Wherever your hands are, lengthen up through the spine. So straighten out through the arms, look up, and then walk your hands all the way back towards you. Great. So we'll move into a straddle just to find our way back into a bit of symmetry. And then from here, both knees will come into, let's find the easiest way to get into this, into the chest. This is probably a new pose we don't do a lot in vinyasa, so you might have to observe it. So we're going to drop both knees over to the right. And it's almost as if I'm posting all my weight on my right hip. But I'm going to stagger my knees slightly. So my knees are about hip width apart. The ankle, my left ankle, which is on top, is resting in the arch of my right foot. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. It actually feels quite nice if you're propped up on a block or a foam if you've got one, especially if your hips might feel a little bit tight. But you can definitely adjust that top leg size slightly. Most of my weight is on my right hip, but I can lean slightly over to my left. Okay, arm knees feeling fine. We're going to inhale, extend the arms up. And then as you exhale, bring your arms out to the side into a T shape. So now we don't have to rely on our hands to twist at all. Start to reach over towards the right side. Keep your arms reaching out. Grow tall through the spine and go a little bit further over to the right side, just so that your right hand can rest behind your back, your left hand onto the top of your right knee. So very similar in our twist that we did earlier, just a different variation of your legs. And just gaze over towards the right side. It doesn't have to be all the way over the shoulder, but just complete the twist with the neck. Now I want you to notice whether you have a slight little arching into your spine, whether you are tilting the tailbone. And I want you to feel as though you're doing a slight little posterior tilt. So you're rounding into the back and then twist a bit. So it's not a major thing. It's almost just finding it into a little bit more of a neutral position. And we're going to hold it for 5 breaths. And I want you to really feel strong into the core. So less activation into the hands, and the core is really pulling us into that. So the mid body is working quite hard into the twist. And I don't know if it's because I'm sitting at the fire, but this also makes me quite hot. Good. Come out of the pose just as we came in. So arms extend back out into a T shape. Hold it there. And then bring your body back through to center. Release your hands. You can choose to lean back behind you. And then just place your feet out in front of you. We'll just do a quick neutralizer before we go to the other side. So your feet are hip width apart. Your hands are out beside you. We'll just windscreen wipe with the legs from side to side. So I want you to move quite slowly. So generally we move quite fast. We get a bit of momentum. As you move through center, I really want you to feel this last knee go into a little bit of internal rotation and then over to the other side. So we really get to feel kind of that counter stretch of it. Nice. And then coming in, we'll move over to the other side. So you'll drop both knees over towards the left. Let your right ankle fall into the arch of your left foot. Position yourself up so that it's quite nice and comfortable. Most of the weight will be on that left hip. I find that I actually like resting the top of my right foot on the floor, but you might find you naturally go towards the inner arch, and that's okay. When you're comfortable, extend the arms out to the side, palms facing forward, drop the shoulders down, but still stay tall in the spine. As you exhale, twist over towards the left side. Really work through the left side of the body. Left hand drops down to the floor, right hand onto your left knee, looking over your shoulder. Same sensation if I lifted up my hands or if I became weightless on the hands, nothing would change in the body, or nothing would change in the trunk rather. Take 3 more full breaths in through the nose and out through the nose as well. 2 more full breaths. And exhale. And then bring your arms out to a T. Bring your body back through to center. And then release your hands down. Good job, guys. Crossing over your ankles, we'll make our way into our first downward facing dog. So it took us a while to get there, but you can roll over, make your way into your first down dog. Nice. Cool. So our first time here, hands spread nice and wide, grip all 10 fingers down into the mat. Nice. If you need to bend the knees slightly, that's fine. In fact, what I want you to all do is bend the knees slightly, push your chest back to your thighs. Good, so feel like you're nice straight back here, yeah? Lift your tailbone nice and high. And then as you exhale, slowly drop your heels down. Nice. Good. Now you can find a slide pedal into the feet. Dasher, what you can do is maybe lift up onto the toes slightly. Oh, not lift onto the toes, bend into the knees slightly to send your chest back. So you find like an upside down V shape. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Nice, guys. So you find a gentle pedal into the feet. Mostly in a traditional Hatha class, you wouldn't pedal out, but it does feel really nice, especially for those of us in Cape Town, and it's still quite chilly. So just take 3 breaths to settle here. Bend into your knees, look to the top of your mat, and then step to a forward fold. So both feet will land in between the hands. Good. Exhale, folding forward. Once again, you can have a little bend into your knees. Rock the weight slightly forward into your toes. Good. So your hand variations here, I want you to bring the palms down onto the floor if they can reach. If your palms cannot reach the floor, I want you to just bring your hands onto your shins of wherever you are. So try to maintain contact with something. It's just a different variation, but you're still relaxing your chest down, your forehead down towards the knees, and the weight slightly forward into the toes. Take 2 more breaths. Good. Bend into the knees quite a bit. Prop yourself up onto your fingertips, or a little bit of a lift. And I want you to heel toe the toes and the heels to touch, setting up for a chair pose. So send your hips all the way back. So my fingertips are still making contact with the floor. Inhale, extend your arms up. I want you to get the palms to touch. So see if you can get hand to touch overhead. Yeah. So what you can do is, so you'll move into your normal chair. Some of you are still sitting quite low, so you can prop your hips up so you're finding more of like that zigzag shape. Yeah, it's supposed to be a gentle Hatha class. Good. Nice. Take 2 more breaths. Push into the heels, mountain pose. Let the arms relax along the side of the body, palms facing forward. Close your eyes for a moment. Checking in your mountain pose, lift up all 10 toes, spread your toes wide, see if you can create space between them, and then grip all 10 toes down into the mat once again. If you feel the need to part your feet slightly in order to be more comfortable, please go ahead and do so. Find a slight little drawing of the tailbone down, almost feeling as though your ribs knit inwards. So we draw everything towards the center, extending fingertips down to the floor, nice and tall through the crown of the head. Feel as though this is a strong posture, strong standing shape. Active through the fingers as you inhale, sweep the arms around and up, high mountain, palms touch overhead. Exhale, swan dive, so split the arms, lean the body forward, through a flat back into a forward fold. Bend into your knees if you need to get there. Good. Keep your fingertips on the floor or your palms if you can get there. Keep your right foot at the top of the mat. Take a big step with your left foot to the back of the mat. Drop your left knee down. Good. Right hand comes onto the top of your right thigh. Left hand meets. You're going to push yourself up into an Anjaneyasana position. Your fingers are interlaced above your right knee. So this is where if you had somebody who had a bit of a niggly knee, you could prop your block up onto it. Otherwise, adjust it by slightly scooching your knee back so you feel nice and comfortable. Good. So we're sinking nice and low into the lunge. Use the arms to straighten up and find a full Anjaneyasana position, keeping your gaze forward. Good. Now push into your right heel, strongly into the mat. And then imagine you're trying to traction your right heel towards your left knee, as if you're trying to scrunch up the mat between your two legs. So you're pulling them towards each other and you'll feel a little bit of a lift. Now keep that support in the body. Inhale, extend the arms in line with the ears. Maybe you get the palms to touch. Good. So an alternative to palms touching is just hands extending in line with the ears, but I want you to find nice, strong arms. If you guys feel you need to prop yourself up, you'll notice on the other side. Good. We'll take 2 more breaths. Release your hands down onto the floor. Lift your left knee up, look forward. Step left foot to meet your right, top of the mat, forward fold. Nice. Hands come down onto the floor. We'll step our left foot back, right foot back. Don't listen to me. You guys know better. Good. Have your left foot in the front. Drop that knee down. Left palm onto your left thigh, and then your right, and then lift yourself up. That's a nice way of moving into it with the support of your hands. Good. Now sink low into your lunge. Straighten up through your arms. Remember, you can always move slightly out of the lunge. Inhale, arms extend up, palms touch. Now feel as though you are lengthening through the sides of the body, lifting up through the waist, through the hands, active through the fingertips. Two more full breaths. Hands come down onto the mat, lift your right knee, look forward. Step, forward fold at the top of your mat. Nice. Get your toes and your heels to touch. Utkatasana, sink your hips down nice and low. Keep your palms to touch. Inhale, extend your arms up. Julie, you can lift your upper body just a little bit slightly. Yeah, that looks much better. Good. And if you find a slight arch into your spine, little rounding into your lower back. It's a little tuck. Take one more breath in. Exhale, mountain pose. Straighten your legs, arms along the side of the body. Now the same sensations we went for last time, find your way back into that shape. So move from your heels all the way up to your tailbone. Draw your ribs in, hands extend down, up through the crown of the head. So kind of go through those cues in your mind, find that nice, strong standing position. Now realize you guys are all facing in different directions. It doesn't matter. Hopefully the cues are clear enough that we all get there. All right, so we'll stay standing at the top of the mat. Take a big step back with your left leg. Come to stand in a star pose, or it's more like a prasarita stance. Toes parallel with your heels. Bring your arms out to the side. You should have your hands directly above your heels. Good. Nice. So Anna, just face towards your left side. So drop your left heel, turn your toes parallel. If you feel like you need to rather face towards me, then just turn yourself around. It will be a lot easier. Good. Bring your hands onto your hips. Take a nice inhale. As you exhale, lean forward with your chest halfway and then pause in a tabletop position. Okay. Lean your weight into your toes. Pull your shoulder blades back. So it's almost as if you're trying to get your elbows to touch. Hold for a moment. Nice inhale. Stay for your exhale. One more full inhale. You need to have a little bend to your knees for your hamstrings, you can. Exhale, release your hands down, forward fold into your Prasarita Padottanasana. So we'll take a traditional hand variation for this. So you'll start with your hands underneath your shoulders, halfway lift. And then as you exhale and you fold forward, if flexibility allows for it, you'll walk your hands back in line with your heels. Fingertips will face the front of you, and then squeeze your elbows together as if you're creating a box shape, all right? So if you need to peek, kind of looks like that. Good. Now for some of you, I want to check that your feet are parallel. Nice. Bring some weight forward into the toes. If your head is on the floor, you might have to bring your feet a little bit wider. Oh, sorry, a little bit narrower. Otherwise, you will go up into a headstand, and that's not where we're going. Hold for 2 more breaths. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, halfway lift. Good. Now push your heels into the floor, float your hands onto your hips, and then inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Step left foot to meet your right, the top of your mat. Good, all right. Take one inhale here in your mountain pose. So we would usually even step the same leg back, but I'm gonna spice it up and do the other side. So on your inhale, step your right foot to the back of your mat. Moving into triangle pose. So you guys should be very familiar with moving into this shape now. I want you to turn your right toes out, so your right foot will be the front. Sorry guys, I didn't think about this well with all of you facing different directions. Yeah, so your right leg will be your front foot, so facing towards the short end of your mat. Turn your left toes in slightly, arms extending out in line with the body. Inhale, reach your right hand all the way forward, right hand to shin for your Trikonasana. Nice. Good. Feel that you're leaning slightly back in the upper body. Nice adjustment, Melissa. Take 2 more breaths. Bring yourself back up into standing. Pivot your feet around, moving over to your Trikonasana on your left side. So left toes towards the short end of your mat, right toes in slightly. You shouldn't have to adjust your stance. And then reach left arm all the way forward. Left hand down onto your shin. Now I want you to feel the same thing we've been working with earlier. If you had to release that left hand, would you maintain the shape in your trunk? That's a good little test to see that you're not dropping down or not using a lot of weight on that hand. Nice. So what I like in this pose, you know, the traditional is with your chin up towards the top hand. I like to relax my neck. It's not a traditional Hatha view or traditional yoga pose view, but it does feel good. 2 more breaths. Bring yourself all the way up into a standing position, parallel your feet, and then step to the top of your mat into a Tadasana mountain pose. Right. Standing on your left leg, moving into tree pose. So before we quickly grab that ankle and yank it up, I want you to move quite slowly into it. So ground into your left foot, hug your right knee into your chest. Hands can just rest. So we're going to move through it step by step. Good. Now see if you can release your hands and it's just your foot that will be lifted. So you're going to be moving like this. Keep your hands as it is. Bring your right knee out to the right side. Nice. Now squeeze your heels up towards your sitting bones as if you're trying to squeeze something behind that right knee. And then try to place that right foot as high up on your inner thigh as you can. Maybe you get that heel just above your knee, in which case what you can do is now use that hand to slide it up further, but our leg has gotten us halfway there, all right? If you feel it doesn't quite get above your knee, I want you to place the right foot over your calf, hands come through heart center. Lift up and out of that left hip, so stand up nice and tall in your standing leg. Inhale, push the palms together, reach your hands up overhead. Good. We're holding here for about 5 breaths. So this is my fun bit. It's coming out the same way we came in. Bring your hands through to heart center. So we're going to move that knee into a lifted position. So from your tree, lift it up and out to the side. It's not easy. Bring your knee back through to center. Place that foot down next to your left, hands along the side of the body. Rest in your mountain pose. Close your eyes. Grow nice and tall. Just start to feel the balance between both feet. Now, what you can also do here, I did say feet together. I want you to bring your feet slightly closer towards hip width apart. Close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to notice where you find most of your weight in your feet. So in order to find a little bit of center, start to shift the weight from your left to your right foot. So it's slowly moving from one to the other, even though both feet stay planted. So start to notice that weight shifting to the sides. And then start to do the same thing forward and back. So the feet stay planted, but you feel more weight into the toes. And then further back into the heels. Now find that middle point between front, back, left, and right. And find the exact center point of your base of support. And if you had to draw a line from that center, see that it almost meets you at the center of your hip, meets you almost at the center of your chest, up and out through the crown of the head. So aligning yourself almost in one straight line. Nice. Moving on to tree on the other side. So you're going to stay grounded on your right foot, hug your left knee up into your chest. Good. Nice. So if you're struggling a bit with balance, you're more than welcome to move towards the wall, all right? So hands move out, hands are onto the side. So move slowly, guys. I want to do it step by step because it makes it hard. Bring your left knee out to the left side. Squeeze heel up towards the sitting bone. See how high you can place that foot up. And then maybe give it a little bit of help, all right? So you see how sometimes we just take our foot and we put it in place and we can't really get it there actively. So this is quite a fun way to see how much active range of motion we can get in our hips there. And then if you're feeling like the balance is a bit wobbly, just drop that foot down towards the calf. We're still working on the same balance. And push the palms up, reaching the hands up overhead. Stay nice and strong and straight in the hands. Good. Nice, guys. Good focus, good balancing. Take 2 more breaths. Now let's see if we can come out of it in that tricky way. Bring your left knee out to the side. Knee into center. And then place that foot down, Tadasana. Well done, guys. That usually makes my hip cramp. So take a moment there. Active into your Tadasana. 1 full inhale. Full exhale. Reach your arms up, high mountain, arms extend up overhead. Exhale, swan dive into a forward fold at the top of your mat. Bring your hands onto your shins, halfway lift. Good. Now I want you to pause here for a moment and really feel like you have a slight little pulling back of the shoulders. Try to get your spine into a nice straight line. Crown of the head reaching forward. Nice, guys. Place your hands down onto your mat. Step back into your plank. Good. Drop knees down. Lower down all the way onto your belly. And we'll just place the palms on top of each other and then rest your head onto the backs of the hands into a rest position. Let your heels just drop out naturally, tops of the feet onto the mat. What feels really nice is to just do a little wiggle of your hips from side to side. So you're resting your forehead down on your hands. If for any reason that's uncomfortable, you just place one cheek over onto the side. Nice. So we'll take about 3 breaths here, and we're going to move into our baby cobras. So, but just enjoy this for a breath or 2. And we tend to hold these poses for a little bit longer, so we're going to do a couple of variations of them. All right, I'll do them with you if you're still working on them. All right. So just release your head off your hands. Slide your hands down along the back of the body so that your hands are about in line with the ribs. Tops of the feet onto the mat, forehead facing down. Keep your hands there. As you inhale, just lift up through the upper body. Little to no weight on the hands, but they're still there. Feel like you pull the shoulder blades back. I'm just checking, guys. So I almost want you to feel as though I'm there actively without any weight on my hands, so you're down a little bit lower. Hold for 3 more breaths. Exhale, slowly release down. Place both hands onto the mat. Release your forehead onto the floor, or onto your hands rather. Now I want you to take nice deep belly breaths into the belly, so you feel as though you get a little bit of a release in the back when you take a breath in. So we're going to do that 2 more times. It's not high at all, but I want you to feel as though you bring little to no weight in the hand. So when you're ready, come forward once again, slide your hands back. Take a nice inhale, breathe up into your baby cobra. Maybe this time you just float the hands. On your next exhale, slowly lower down. Rest your forehead down onto your hands. Good, we've got 1 more to go. For this one, keep the same in the upper body. I really want you to feel the focus on the feet, pushing the tops of the feet into the mat. So slide your hands along the side of the body, push the toes into the mat. As you inhale, rise up into a baby cobra, float your hands off the mat. Nice. So if your hands are there, if you took them off, you would still maintain it. Nice. Feel that the upper back is working quite hard, generating a bit of heat in the body. Sorry, I think I'm breaking up. Exhale, lower back down. Sorry guys, exhale, lower back down. There we go. Take 1 full in breath. And then on your exhale, slide the hands along the side of the body, come into a child's pose. So Balasana, this time with the knees together. So not a wide-legged child's pose. Keep the knees together, sweep the arms along the side of the body, turn the backs of the hands onto the mat, and create a full rounded shape. Nice. We'll take 3 breaths here. So once again, a really nice rounded shape where we can check in with the breath. So maybe bring your awareness back to the full inhales, full exhales. Now let's take 2 more breaths just for fun. So we'll stay in a kind of a child's pose shape, meaning on my knees rather, and then slowly bring yourself up into a kneel standing position. All right, so we're just going to move into a lunge in a different way to show how we can work with different practitioners. So this is something I would use quite a bit. If you had a foam and I knew you had someone who had a bit of a sore knee, you'd prop your knee already while you're here. All right, so we're going to keep our left knee back. So if you want to fold your mat or something, you can do so. Bring your weight onto your left side, step your right foot forward. So come back into your lunge. Good. Inhale, extend your arms back up. Now I want you to find, as we came back to this pose earlier, the same thing. Find that you are squeezing your right heel towards your left knee. Bring arms out to the side into a capital T shape. Palms will face forward. Good. Take an inhale. As you exhale, twist over towards the right side with your right arm back and your left arm forward. Nice. Now I want you to see if you can bring your shoulders over your hips so you're kind of maintaining that straight spine instead of leaning forward. Nice. Good, guys. Take 1 more breath. Inhale, come forward, extend your arms up in line with your ears. So this is where moving back to the mat, to the back end of the mat is a little bit trickier. So what I would say is to lean your weight all the way back into that foot, let the toes rest down. You might take 1 step and then 2 to come back into a kneel standing position, rest your arms down. Okay, swapping it out. So if you had your left knee propped, change it over towards your right knee. Lean your weight into that right knee, step your left knee forward. So when we do our yoga for injury next week, this is a nice different way to get into your lunges where you're not faffing with your props. Extend your arms up in line with your ears. Good. Hands come down into a capital T shape. Palms are facing in the same direction as the chest. Twist over towards the left side, left hand back, right arm in line with the knee. Nice. Hold for 3 breaths. Bring your hands back to center. Arms extend up. Good. I think we did say easier to bring your hands down onto your hips. Lean your weight all the way back into your right shin. And then bring left knee onto your right, next to your right, sorry. So back into your kneel standing position, hands will come onto your hips. So I know we don't often, especially at wellness, we don't do a lot of camel and teach it. So I'm actually going to do a camel preparation. So it's not going to be very deep into the pose, but we're just going to focus on opening up to the front of the chest. So I want you to bring your hands onto your lower back. Sometimes it's taught with the palms facing down, but what I find is if I bring my thumbs into almost those eyes on the back of my lower back, and then squeeze the shoulders together and feel as though my hands are kind of there to support me. Now, all I want you to do is feel that the hips, the shins are about hip width apart, so I've got a nice stable base. Take a nice inhale, lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back, and then instead of leaning back, I want you to feel as though you're lifting the chest up towards the ceiling, squeezing the elbows back behind you, and just gazing up. So if my hips were up against the wall, nothing would change. And then feel as though there's almost like a cord lift attached to the sternum that's pulling you up towards the ceiling. And we're going to take 3 more breaths there. If ever the back doesn't feel good, you move out of it, but feel as though if you do need it, you just do less. 1 more breath. Slowly inhale, come up. Sit your hips back down onto your heels. Good. Pause in a bit of a neutral spine for a moment, hands resting along the tops of the thighs in a Virasana or a Thunderbolt pose. And then exhale, walk your hands forward into a child's pose, and you can sweep the arms back. Good. We got 3 breaths here. Bring your hands along the side of the body. Walk yourself up so you're sitting on your knees once again. And all you'll do is sit over onto one hip, swing your legs around so you're coming into seated with your legs out in front of you. So setting up for Paschimottanasana. So once again, you can always sit up on that foam. It does make it quite nice to give a little bit of a lift into the hips. So legs out in front of you, flex the toes back, and we'll start off with Dandasana, where you have the hands along the side of the body, and we're just sitting in an upright position. So I want you to imagine the letter L, and that's kind of what we're going for. So all that we've been doing was squeezing the shoulders back, maintaining that tall spine, and now curl the toes back. My teacher used to say, as much as what you start to see that sometimes the pinky toes flare outwards. It took me a while to get that. And then push the calves down into the mat and see if you can lift the heels up. So the heels float just off the mat. Yeah. And then I want you to keep that engagement, but the heels can drop down, but you stay as active in the legs. Now keep that engagement through the legs and a little bit of the trunk. Extend your arms up. We're just going to hold here for about 5 or 6 breaths. Good. Maybe you feel as though you can bring the hands slightly back behind you, sit up nice and tall, straight spine. Take a nice full breath in. As you exhale, release the hands down to each side of the knees. And we'll walk the hands forward, trying to keep a nice flat back. So keeping the fingers, what I like to do is almost cupping the fingers up. Walk your palms forward, take a nice inhale, lengthen to the chest. And then as you exhale, sternum comes down towards the knees. So I'm still bringing my chin forward to my toes as I move into a Paschimottanasana forward fold. So the grip with the hands is completely up to you. It's nice to keep contact with the floor. Alternatively, you can move onto your shins or your ankles. And we're going to really use the breath for this one. So we'll do an inhale to grow tall into the spine. Exhale, chest down to thighs. Inhale, tall in the spine. Exhale, belly draws in to spine. So it doesn't have to be a major movement. If you feel as though you've reached your edge, I want you to move in and out of that edge. And then on your next exhale, we'll hold there. We're going to keep this one for 10 breaths, but there's still a little bit of an activation in it. So it's not a passive forward fold. We've still got a slight little pulling back of the shoulders. We should feel the upper back working, and the heels are still drawing down into the floor and the toes back. So as active as what our forward fold could be. Three more breaths. You can close your eyes if you would like to. And then on your last exhale, wherever your hands are, push your arms to straighten, lift your chest up, and then walk your hands all the way back. Nice. Good. Last bit of work before we move into our Shavasana. So if you are facing sideways on your mat, just turn yourself lengthways so you'll roll back to sit on your mat. Feet will be hip width apart, extend your arms forward, take a nice inhale, and then exhale, slowly start to roll your way all the way down. So you come to lie on your back and bring your heels quite close to your sitting bone, setting up for a bridge pose. So we'll do the traditional one with the binding of the hands underneath the back. If for any reason you have any shoulder, neck, or spine injuries, you can take a variation that works for you, maybe a supported one with a block or something like that. Let's see how it goes. Feet hip width apart, and I want you to just have that your fingers can graze the back of the heels. Nice. And then bring your palms along the side of the body, palms facing down. As you inhale, tuck your tailbone, slowly start to lift from your pelvis all the way up, hips up to ceiling. And then you can start to maybe wiggle the shoulders underneath the body and clasp the hands underneath the spine, underneath the back. Push the pinky fingers down into the mat so you make your way into your full bridge pose. Good. We're going to be here for another 6 breaths. So keep squeezing the glutes, keep lifting the hips up high. Full deep breaths in and full breaths out. Slowly release your hands from underneath your back. I want you to roll down through your upper back, middle back, lower back, as if you're peeling down onto the floor. Bring your feet to the edges of the mat, knock the knees together. Left hand to heart, right hand to belly. Just notice if there was any changes in the breath or the heart rate. Take a nice full inhale through the nose and a nice open mouth sigh. One more just like that, in through the nose. And exhale, sigh. Bring your right knee into your chest. Hug your knee in and extend your left leg out to the floor. Your heel onto the floor. Keep that foot flexed. You can massage that right hip a little bit from side to side. So regular supine twist, left hand will stay on the right knee, right arm to the side. Gently guide that right knee over to the left. Complete the twist by looking over the right shoulder to the right hand. So for this one, I want you to prioritize getting that right shoulder down, even if it means your right knee doesn't go as far. And then when you get into your twist, close your eyes. Bring your awareness to your right hip, all the way up along the right side of the body. And then finally landing on your right rib cage. Take a nice full in-breath as you feel that right side of the body expand. And then as you exhale, soften and relax right shoulder down into the mat. Do that in your own time, just 2 more times. Right knee will come back into center. Step your left foot onto the mat. Yep, and then we'll swap it out. So right foot comes down and your left knee comes into the chest. So I like to just start with that extended leg bend first and then move into extension, but it's completely up to you. I feel like holding that knee into the chest and then straightening the leg out just a different way of coming into the pose. So your first 2 or 3 breaths, just move that hip from side to side a bit. And then supine twist, left knee moves across the body over to the right side, left arm extends into a capital T, gaze over your left shoulder. Bring awareness to that left hip. All the way up along the side of the body into the rib cage. Feel a nice inhale as you expand through the lungs. And exhale, relax the shoulder down. 2 more rounds like this. And then slowly bring that knee back into center. Keep your left knee into your chest as you get your right knee to join. Find a gentle rock from side to side. And then making your way into your Shavasana. Legs extend all the way to the ends of the mat. If you want to quickly grab something warm, maybe some socks or a jersey. It's really nice if you have something that you can cover your eyes with. You can take a nice long 10-minute Shavasana. Nice. So take some time to really set yourself up. With your, what I always like to cue is to really take up space. So to get nice and comfortable with the feet hip width apart or wider, arms resting along the side of the body, unless of course you're in a blanket and you want to stay nice and snug. Take a nice full inhale through the nose and a nice open mouth sigh. One more like that, nice inhale and exhale. Slowly start to feel the back line of the body just really soften and become heavy into the mat. So noticing whether there are any parts of the body that are still trying to work or hold tension, and noticing whether you can let those parts soften. Bring your awareness to the heels. Start to notice the contact that the heels make with the mat or the floor below you. Feeling the skin along the inner soles of the feet as the toes relax naturally out to the side. Following that awareness up along the backs of the legs to the space behind the kneecaps. Along the backs of the thighs, all the way to where the hips meet the floor. Feel the entire lower half of the body relaxed. Bring your awareness up and notice the gentle lift of the lower back off the mat. And following that length of the spine to the space in the middle back where you make contact with the floor once again. All the way up to the space between the shoulder blades. And as you exhale, see if you can breathe the shoulders down into the floor, feeling a gentle opening into the front of the chest and the collarbones. Following that awareness down the backs of the upper arms, past the elbows, the forearms, all the way to the backs of the hands. Relaxing the skin along the palms, feeling a gentle curling of the fingertips back towards the palm of the hand. Awareness draws back up to the space between the shoulder blades, traveling along the back of the neck, the back of the skull as it lies on the floor, over the crown of the head, where it meets in the space in your forehead. Softening the skin around your forehead, the brow line. Softening the eyes underneath the eyelids. The cheeks. The skin around the cheeks. The jaw. Softening through the lips. A gentle parting of the teeth. And the tongue resting in the mouth. Feeling the entire body relaxed. And as we move into this place of stillness, not only in the physical body, but allowing the mind to follow. So if ever the mind wanders or thoughts come up, you can acknowledge them and let them pass by. Continue bringing your awareness back to your breath and your body. Nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. Just here in your relaxation for the next couple of moments. I will bring you out of Shavasana when it is time. Slowly start to bring your awareness just back to your surroundings. No changes in the body or the breath. Start to imagine the four walls or the room around you. Maybe starting to imagine where your body may be positioned on the mat in relation to this room. And we'll gently bring our awareness back to the sensation of touch by rubbing the thumb along the fingertips, just feeling the fingerprints as if we are noticing and feeling them for the first time. Create larger movements as you roll the wrists and the ankles. Maybe even moving the muscles of the face, opening the mouth wide, licking the lips, scrunching the forehead. And then taking a nice full body stretch, reaching your arms up overhead, point the toes. Step both feet onto the mat. We'll roll over onto one side. Always like inviting you to move in a way that feels intuitive for you. So if you'd like to move out of Shavasana another way, please feel welcome to do so. But we're going to do it quite slow and incrementally. From your side lying position, use your top arm to push yourself up into a comfortable seat. Keep your eyes closed. We'll finish off our class just as we started, hands resting on the knees. It's finding a nice lengthened spine, gentle tuck of the chin down to the chest. Bringing your hands through to heart center, thumbs to touch the front of the rib cage. And just taking a moment to send gratitude to yourself for making your way onto your mat, for moving and breathing, for dedicating this time for your training, and sending that gratitude to each and every one of us who have joined in this class today. You can gently bow your forehead down to your fingertips. Thank yourself for your practice. And then blinking open the eyes when you are ready. Thanks, guys. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. We're not going to chat, just be in your space. So at 22, so you can just set yourself up, move to a different spot, get something warm, change. At 22, we will find our way back here. Cool.